Welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I'm Danielle DeTeach, or Coach Danny D, and I help women to create luxury brands by creating processes and tightening their branding. This is where we talk about how to build your business in a way that allows you to work with ease and enjoy your life. My happy space is spending as much time as humanly possible in my pajamas, and I want to help others to find their happy space while still running profitable businesses. So get comfortable and let's dig in. Hello and welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I am Coach Danny D, your host, and I am here always helping small businesses play big through my business workflow. But the podcast is here to also help you to get to that profits in pajamas lifestyle so that you can not only have a business, but enjoy your business and be able to do those things that are important to you in life that are not business related, because we are often told to always be on the grind and to have that business mind turned on all the time. Sometimes we need to be able to turn it off, enjoy ourselves, enjoy the fruits of our labor. So that's what the podcast is about. As you know, if you are a listener, once a month we do a episode where we bring on a guest. So today is going to be one of those guest episodes, and we have Raven Brown, and she's going to talk to us about accounting and some tax benefits for entrepreneurs. So we all know how important it is to make sure that we are keeping track of what we're doing financially, whether we actually do it or not. We know that it's important. And also just knowing on the tax side of things, sometimes as an entrepreneur, if you don't have that background, you don't have that training on the business owner side as far as taxes are concerned, you might be missing on some important deductions or just some things you need to keep in line to make sure that you're on good terms with the IRS. So I, want to introduce to you Raven, and I'll give you a little brief bio about her, but we're gonna get to know her. So I'm not gonna get too deep into the bio. The bio will be in the show notes so you can read up about her. But she is originally from Chicago, and she was raised in Nebraska, but now she's a New Orleans girl. Once we get you, we claim you. So now you're a New Orleans girl, regardless of how you feel about it. And she's always had a knack for numbers. So, of course, accounting made sense for her as a career path. And it's not in the bio, but I learned this about Raven just from meeting her, that she's, ventured into from, working in the corporate world to owning her own accounting firm. So that is amazing in and of itself. So she's not only an accountant, but she's also, like most of the listeners, a business owner as well. So welcome, Raven.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So, just to get us started, can you talk about some of the ways that accounting can help business owners to work with ease?
Well, accounting can help business owners work with ease by, just helping to relieve some of the stresses that come with financial management altogether. And also it can provide clarity on, the financial stability of your company. With, if you have good accounting processes in place, you never have to worry about, is my business profitable or not, because you can always, look at your reports, look at your numbers, and, see what changes you need to make, what decisions you need to make going forward for your business. So that definitely could provide some clarity, some ease, and help you to make decisions going forward.
Amazing. And I just want to add to that a little bit, just, knowing your numbers is, just one of those things that we've done a few different episodes where we brought on different financial experts. And one thing that I noticed when working with entrepreneurs is we get a little bit intimidated by those numbers. We are afraid of looking at those numbers, but you never really know your true situation unless you look at those numbers. And that looking at those numbers should not be scary. It should be empowering.
Exactly. And it also could, benefit you in a way, like, you can miss out on some deductions, some tax deductions. And also if you're ever needing like some lending or some loans, or even if someone wants to invest in your company, they're going to want to see your numbers and see how far you've come, see what you're doing. And it really shows how serious you take your business. If you're not tracking your numbers, then it's like, who can really take your business seriously,
Definitely. And, and I'm just thinking also just recently with the pandemic and a lot of stuff that went on with the pandemic, and there was a lot of opportunities for grants and all these different things where different organizations, different government agencies were, out there trying to help small businesses stay afloat. But if you didn't have your paperwork in order, your numbers, accessible, then you weren't eligible for those grants, so the time that you had to take to try to scramble to pull those numbers together, somebody else has already received that grant.
Yep, exactly.
So what would you consider one of the major misconceptions about accounting?
One of the major misconceptions about accounting is that it's not really important until tax time comes around at the end of the year.
Yes.
Which is false, because by that time it's too late. You're stuck in the position where you're trying to scramble, and you could potentially end up missing out on a lot of deductions, end up underreporting income or even overreporting income sometimes. And so, yeah, that's a huge misconception that it only really matters at the end of the year when I need to file my tax return. But, all throughout the year, you wanna track your numbers to make sure that you're keeping track. So say if you have a business where you sell a product, you're gonna wanna keep track of your sales and your expenses every month, because if you have like a down month or a slow month or anything like that, you wanna be able to make those decisions next year. Like, oh, do I need to purchase as much inventory as I had last year? You could really cut some costs there. Or, if you have a month where you have a surplus of sales, and, you weren't really prepared for that, but, weren't really tracking everything. So it isn't just important for taxes. It also comes with decision making. It's a game changer when it comes to decision making. And also, whenever you want to go to buy a house, they're going to want to look at your numbers. If you ever need to like finance a car or anything, they're going to ask to see your income statement, your balance sheet, things like that. And if you can't provide that, then you're not going to get that loan. You're not going to get the funds that you need, and you're going to be stuck in a situation where it's like, oh, do I have to get a job? Or do I have to like try to make money some other way because you didn't have anything to substantiate your business?
Yeah, and I love what you said about decision making, because like you said, if you wait till the end of the year, that's great for the taxes, and that you can do what you got to do to serve that purpose. But what if it's something that you need to adjust or change? You don't want to wait, a whole calendar year before you make the necessary adjustments, when you may realize I'm spending too much on like, I know looking at a couple of years ago when I was looking at before the pandemic, and I was looking at just rentals for, like, if I do large jobs, I rent a U-Haul. Well, that same money that I'm renting a U-Haul could have easily gone towards purchasing a vehicle. But if you're not looking at it on a consistent basis, you don't realize that is there. So, so then you end up spending, more money for, 5, 6 more months until the end of the year when you look at those numbers again. So I love how you said about, that being a part of your decision-making process.
Yes, 1000%.
So if you were, how do I want to say, what are some ways that accounting can help us business owners kind of, piggybacking on the idea of decision making, take some of the guesswork out of what we deal with on a daily basis as entrepreneurs?
Well, it will take the guesswork out of knowing whether or not your business is profitable, because you'll be tracking that. You'll see, okay, if it's profitable, then good. Something's working. You need to keep it up. Maybe, it's time to scale. Think about those things. If it's not profitable, then obviously you need to change something, rearrange your money and start investing other places. So you won't have to guess or worry about that. And also can make tax compliance a lot easier, because once you're tracking your numbers, it's much easier for you to know exactly what to report to the IRS, how many taxes you need to be paying, and things like that. Because if you're not tracking it, it's always going to be a scramble for you. It's not going to be fun. You're going to regret the end of the year every single year, and it's going to be annoying. And then I get clients like this all the time that just come to me and they're just like, I wasn't keeping track of anything, and now I'm trying to figure out what my tax obligation is. And it's like, okay. So now we're starting from the beginning of time, January 1, 2 years ago, and trying to put our information together. But it takes the guesswork out of all of the stresses that come with financial management. Like, all of it can be relieved if you just keep track of it, at least on a monthly basis. So yeah.
And then I would add to that, also just, I mean, I'm this person, everybody is not this person, but just hire somebody. Like, just hire. If you know that it's not your thing, then just hire someone. We have enough to deal with as entrepreneurs to not carry burdens that we don't enjoy. Like, I hear people complaining all the time about, well, I have to be, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. No, they have a butcher and a baker that's out there. If you just want to be the candlestick maker, you can always hire a butcher or a baker to do those other parts.
Right.
To make sure that you're not overwhelming yourself, but also if that's not your zone of genius, you're not going to do it right. So you want to partner with people and bring people onto your team that are supporting you and that are, taking care of those things, because Raven loved math since she was a child. So she's not aggravated by the numbers, but if you are, then you need to say, well, hey, Raven, what you doing, girl? Can you come over here and look at these numbers for me? Can you keep this in order for me? And can you make sure that I'm ready for tax season?
Right.
So
Definitely.
I know when we talked previously, you were sharing with me that you had some really good tips for business owners as it relates to tax season. And I just really want you to share all of that loveliness with the audience.
Yeah, sure. So one thing that a lot of taxpayers or business owners do not know when they start their business is about self-employment taxes. They get in trouble with this all the time. And self-employment taxes are pretty much taxes that you pay on your earnings that you make for your business. They're the exact same taxes that you would have been paying if you were employed and you got a W-2, you got a paycheck. Those taxes that come out of your paycheck automatically, those don't just go away once you start a business. Like, you still have to pay those same taxes. In fact, even more, because now that you're the employer and the employee, you pay both sides of those taxes. So I think it's very important to put aside money, 30%, at least 30% of your earnings for taxes. And these taxes are to be paid quarterly. So at least 4 times a year, you should be making self-employment tax deposits to the IRS. Otherwise, at the end of the year, you'll end up with penalties, fees for late payments, and things like that. So yeah, self-employment taxes are huge, and people get caught up with this all the time. All the time, they're like, I don't know how I end up owing money. I'm like, you only get a refund if you send in too much money. You sent in $0 and you're expecting a refund. Like, it's not going to happen, and they have like a big, huge tax bill at the end of the year. So new entrepreneurs about their self-employment tax obligations, because it could be an ugly shock, a really, really ugly shock at the end of the year.
So I'm gonna follow-up questions on that. I always like to because again, when you start talking numbers, people glaze over really fast. So talk to us like we're in kindergarten. What are like, I understand what you're saying as far as putting the 30% aside per quarter, but where are we filing this? What should we be doing to file this? Or is this just too much for our pay grade and we just need to call Raven?
So to file it, you will have to complete a form that's called a 1040 ES, which stands for 1040 estimated tax payments. So yeah, it's just an estimate of your profit, and which another reason why accounting is so important, because you only pay these taxes on your net income. So you take your income minus your expenses, and then it's like 97.5% of that. That is the amount that you should be paying these taxes on. And you'll fill out the form, and kind of walks you through it. But the idea is that you should have the money already set aside for it. And so you fill out the form, mail it to the IRS, or you can submit it online, and you make the payment online, irs.gov/payments, something like that. So,
yeah. Awesome. So that is great information, especially like you said, for new entrepreneurs, but maybe some of us that have been around, we may not have been privy to that, and maybe we need to look at some stuff before Uncle Sam come knocking on the door and say, here, where is my money? So what are some other things that you would say are very important as far as taxes are concerned in entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so going back to those self-employment taxes, because I know how ugly they are. For businesses that have been in the game for a while, they're making some money. I always want them to know of their option to elect as an S corporation to save on these self-employment taxes. And how you can save money on that is by pretty much paying yourself a salary, a set amount every month or so for the year, and you only pay self-employment taxes on that amount that you're paying for your salary. Because as a sole proprietor, the IRS sees you and the business as one and the same. Like, you are the business. All of the money that comes through your business is it's your paycheck pretty much. And so you pay self-employment taxes on all of that money. But if you elect to be an S corp and you pay yourself a set salary, you pay your self-employment taxes just on that salary amount, and then the extra or the other money that's left over, it's still your money, but it's not subject to the self-employment taxes, and you can just take those out of your business as distributions to yourself.
Okay, awesome. Okay, and I think one of the other things that you mentioned, you mentioned something before about the common, some of the common deductions that can be taken for small business owners.
Yeah, so a really common one these days, home office expenses. So if you have a home office, or if you work from home, typically most days, you can deduct a portion of your rent that is attributed to the office space of your home. And how you can do that is pretty much take the square footage, the total square footage of your office compared to like the total square footage of your home, multiply that percentage by your total housing expenses, and that could be a huge deduction for your business. Let's see, any software that you use for your business, if you pay for Zoom, if you pay for, if you have QuickBooks, you're tracking your expenses during QuickBooks, which I highly recommend. Those are deductions. If you hire an accountant like myself, that is a deduction. And obviously any supplies that you use in your business, if your inventory and all of those things are also deductible.
Awesome. So if there was something that you like, if you could share one thing, or even if it's a couple of things, because we won't get all the details, about that you wish everybody knew about accounting, what would that be?
Hmm. Let's see. That's a good question. What I wish everyone knew that it's not really an option. I think it's definitely a requirement to have some type of accounting system in place if you're starting a business. If you can't afford to hire someone, then you need to get on the internet, do some Google searches, and figure out how you can manage your finances yourself when you first start out. But it's not really an option when it comes down to it. If God forbid you ever get in an audit, the IRS is going to want to see accounting records. They're going to want to see that. They're going to want it to be backed up by receipts and things like that. So they're not going to have any excuses, any remorse for you. So it is a requirement. A lot of people think that accounting is only for big businesses, or they don't make enough money to have to worry about accounting and things like that. And that's couldn't be further from the truth. So that's what I think. That's really what I want everyone to know about accounting.
And I love that you said that it's a requirement, because we do look at it a lot of times as optional, but one, you as a business, you're gonna have to file taxes. So you need to, have your affairs in order. Outside of that, just knowing for yourself, because if you don't know your numbers, it's a hobby. I mean, it's not a business. Businesses know their numbers. But the other thing, and I understand maybe in the very, very beginning, you may not be able to afford or think that you can afford to, hire someone to help you with this. But the reality is, if we look at the totality of it all, maybe you can't afford not to.
Right.
And, when it comes down to it, because you don't want to be in a situation where you are, dealing with the IRS and issues that happen because you didn't have your paperwork in order. You don't want to be in a situation where maybe, you're consistently losing money in this business and you don't even realize it because you're not keeping track of it. Those things are huge. And even though, I'm a big believer in, looking at certain things that we may not think of as income producing, that kind of low key are. Because when your numbers are in order, one, what you need, what income you need to be producing. So that helps you to have that clarity on that. But it also, Raven shared a few different tips about, taxes and deductions and everything. Well, I know I don't just know those things off the top of my head, but I know that Raven does. So if you have somebody in your corner that is doing those things for you, then they can help you to make those decisions that are going to make you more profitable as a business.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you can't afford someone, which, that's always up for debate, but if you're doing it yourself, you want to make sure that you're doing it right, because mistakes can be expensive, especially tax-related mistakes, because the IRS has no mercy at all. Like, you make a mistake, they're going to get what they're owed, plus interest, plus fees, plus all of that. And then you're going to still end up paying an accountant anyway to help you out with that on the back end. So I just can't stress enough how important it is to have these processes in place from the beginning going forward for your business.
Definitely. And, I know when we were talking separately, we talked about just the idea of also, as you're hiring that accountant, knowing that accountants have specialties.
Yes.
And not all accountants not all accountants cover the same thing. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, some accountants they only want to focus on the books, like the bookkeeping aspect of it, the day-to-day things like that. Some accountants, like myself, also do taxes as well. A lot of people think or automatically assume that an accountant just knows everything about taxes and knows taxes, but not every accountant does taxes. And then there's different type of taxes, some focus on individual side, and then others focus on the business side, and then even there from like sole proprietors and then corporations, which, tax law is very complicated. So you always want to make sure that your accountant knows your tax situation specific to your entity type. And so, yeah, it all depends on what your situation is. So you always want to make sure that whoever you're working with is competent, they're ethical, and, that you can trust them at the end of the day.
Yeah. When it comes to that money, yes, I want to make sure we have a trusted relationship, because no matter the industry, there's always somebody out there that's doing the wrong the wrong thing. But it's good to know that we have people, out there like you that are here, one, to share information with us, two, to that we can partner with to help our businesses. And I want to point out the last guest episode that I had somebody on that was a financial advisor. And one of the things that she was talking about was, she likes to partner with your accountant because, when she's deciding where to put your money, there's all of those implications of what is going to be beneficial to you from a tax standpoint as well. Mm-hmm. So it's just building upon that partnership. It's, everyone kind of working together, to help you to be successful. And, big corporations have in-house accounting, they have somebody on their staff that does that. Right. And, our situation is, entrepreneurs, we can't hire for every different situation as an employee, but that doesn't stop you from hiring somebody as a professional to assist you and to help you with the things that you need to help your business to go further. One of my taglines is helping small businesses to play big. A part of playing big is using the strategies that the big guys are using on your level, but that so that you can still get those results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It all ties in, with your finances are in order. That's going to be a huge part in your financial planning, retirement planning, all of that. So if you just don't know anything, you're just not tracking anything, how could you plan for the future? You want to make sure you're secure. You didn't just start your business just to start. I mean, some people did. They want to start their business because they want to do what they love and everything, but you also want to make sure that you're making sound financial decisions and thinking about the future, because anything can happen.
Right. And like you said, some people do go into business just because they love fill in the blank, whatever it is. And I work with a lot of creatives. So, there a lot of times is that heart pull to that thing, whatever it may be. But I think that the MO tends to be when I don't like the something, I just put it in the corner.
Yeah. And think it's just going to go away.
And it doesn't work like that. It's not that I put it in the corner. It's that I hire someone that does like that thing, and it eases, my time in my, and it puts me in a position that I'm not stressing over that thing that stresses me out, because I've given it to somebody who, just like, I might be in love with what I do, they're in love with what they do. So they get to do that fun thing that they want to do, and I don't have to anymore. So I just want everybody to start thinking about it from that perspective of, let me hire for my weaknesses, not let me just sweep them under the rug because nobody looking and they're not gonna, find out. In some areas, maybe you could get away with that, but with your finances and the IRS, they looking. They might not have got to your house yet, but
Right.
they're gonna get there eventually. So I'm gonna go, unless you have some more you want to share with us, Raven. I'm gonna go into our wrap-up questions, but if you have something else you just want to share with the audience that you really are just like, come on, y'all, get it together on this accounting side.
I mean, yeah, like I said before, it's always best to start from the beginning. But if you haven't, it's never too late to start. Start somewhere. I recommend QuickBooks. It's pretty inexpensive, easy to use. Get in there and sync your bank accounts to it and start categorizing your expenses and tracking your income. And then, once you see your reports, you're going to see, like, you won't be stuck with the question at the end of the month, like, what did I spend my money on this month? Like, I know I had some sales, whatever, but I'm not seeing the money anymore. It was like, you can track these things and see exactly what you spend the money on.
Yes.
And yeah, just make sure you're compliant. Taxes are inevitable, unfortunately. But yeah, there's ways around them. There's ways you can save, but you have to start tracking your expenses. You have to start saving your documentation and just being in the know, be aware. Like, don't shy away from it. It's not that bad. It's not hard. It's helpful. It's supposed to be a tool for you.
And I thought about something while you were talking, and I'm gonna throw this at you, and I have thoughts on it, but commingling of finances.
Oh yes, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, I can't stress enough how important it is to have a separate business account from your personal account and keep the two separate. Yeah, make sure you're not using your business credit card to, go to Walmart and buy groceries for your house and things like that. And, because the IRS they're gonna look at these things as well, even if you have an LLC or whatever. If you've been commingling your finances this whole time, the IRS can actually disregard that LLC and say, well, you haven't been keeping track of anything. You've been commingling this whole time. So we're going to treat everything as business income and all of this as business expense. So where are the receipts for all of these purchases that are coming out? Where are the receipts? And if you can't provide most of them, they can refuse all your deductions, like, because you've not been, keeping everything separate. So yeah, make sure you keep a separate business bank account from a personal business bank account. And don't use your business account as the ATM and just all willy-nilly. I think it's best to pay yourself a certain amount every week or so if you want. Just transfer money from that business account to your bank, to your personal account. So you have that paper trail. The more paper trail you have, the better. So just always think of it that way. Yeah.
No, I just thought about that. I was just like, because I know a lot of times, especially because a lot of creatives start as a hobby and it grows from there. And so, initially you are using your own finances to kind of, fund it before it makes that really switch over into a business. But then people get to business stage and, and we hear so much about, the world of business ownership via memes. We hear so much about, LLC this and LLC that, but I'm like, so if you just doing whatever you can, it's not like a protect all that you can just run wild and do whatever you want and not have responsibilities.
Yes. Yeah, it's your responsibility at the end of the day. It's your responsibility. It's your business. So you should have everything in order. There's really no excuses. Like I said, I know no one goes into business thinking, unless you're an accounting professional like myself, no one goes into business thinking, I want to deal with accounting, I want to deal with numbers. But it is the language of business. It is a part of business, and you can't escape it if you have a business. So if you don't want to deal with it, outsource, hire someone who can deal with it for you. But yeah, it's It's the language of business. It's a part of business.
I love that, the language of business.
Yes.
And I totally agree with hiring someone, and that someone might just be named Raven. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. But I'm gonna go ahead and get to the wrap up questions. And these are just the questions that I ask all of my guests when they come on. So the first question is, tell me about your favorite pair of pajamas.
So my favorite pair of pajamas is anything that's just soft, comfortable, and loose fitting. I like to be, I like to layer up. So like anything that's loose and comfortable that I can just lounge around in, So yeah.
And I'm definitely a soft PJ girl. I love like a really soft material. If you go back to a few guests ago, we had Angela with Bamboo. It's a bamboo based sleepwear line.
Okay.
And I've like fallen madly in love with it. And like it to the point where it's just like, you want me to get dressed for what? Like,
Right.
and I actually gifted my husband a pair, and he was like, oh, so now I understand why you don't ever want to take your pajamas off. So
Right.
yeah, I'm definitely a soft PJ girl. So I totally understand that.
Yeah.
So finish the sentence for me. My time freedom allows me to.
My time freedom allows me the time to practice self-care. I think that's so important for, everyone to, make sure I take some time for myself, whether it's just going for a walk, making myself a nice meal, or, going to the gym or whatever. Like I have to take care of myself first. That's the only way I can serve others. I can be of any use to anyone is making sure I have the time to take care of myself. So I'm thankful for my time freedom that I'm able to do those things consistently.
I love that. Absolutely love it, because I mean that's what we all need. We all need to be able to take care of ourselves. And I love how you say it, like I have to be able to take care of myself to take care of others. Both just as women, as entrepreneurs, there's all this pressure to be always going and always doing, but you can't really do that at its best if you're not rested.
Right.
So I think that's beautiful. So what advice would you give to someone who was seeking a profits in pajamas lifestyle? And understand, when I say that, pajamas is a thing for me. It might be, traveling, it might be, dancing, it might be something else for someone else, but basically having that freedom to enjoy their life and have a profitable business.
Yeah, my advice would be don't be afraid to put yourself first and your self-care first. I know it's something that, we struggle with. I kind of struggle with it sometimes, always thinking that you have to be go, go, go all the time. And, you kind of let people step over your boundaries and things like that. But, you have to put yourself first, whether it's taking some time in the morning to wake up before your schedule gets crazy and just like practice mindfulness, yoga, or anything like that. Make sure that you are looking out for yourself and practicing self-care. And I think pretty much everything else falls into place after that is for me. So that would be my advice, just self-care, practice self-care.
No, and I agree with you. And it's one of those things that it may sound counterintuitive, but it's actually true. Like, until you start experiencing it and doing it, if you don't believe it, just give it a try. If it doesn't work, you can go back to being overworked. That's fine. But it's just one of those things that when you start doing it, you realize that when you're rested, you're more productive. When you're rested, you're more creative. When you're rested, your life comes into alignment in a better way. So, the rat race is overrated. That's all I'm going to say about about that. So, so as we wrap up, Raven, how can they get in touch with you? Because I'm sure, a good part of our listening audience is realizing how badly they need to go ahead and hire an accountant.
Yeah, you can get in touch with me through my website, ravenbookkeepingbusiness.com. I have my online calendar up there. You can schedule a free consultation if you like. So yeah, that'd probably be the best way to get in touch with me.
Awesome, awesome. And she said free consultation. You could afford that. And whether you
Right.
you can't tell me that you can't. You definitely can. So I really want you guys to reach out to Raven, and I'm gonna have her website in the show notes so that you can just click on the link and get right to her. I want you to reach out to her. I want you to book that consultation because one, you may be surprised, to find out, what, I can't afford this. I'm going to just be honest with you. You can't afford not to do it. So you might as well do it. But, at least you can talk to somebody and understand at least where you are right now, so just do it. Just go ahead and do it. We're not gonna play around with this. 2022, we're taking action. We're doing things that we need to do, and we're not kicking the can down the road. And we're also just gonna release that extra energy we put behind stuff because we make things bigger than it is.
Mm-hmm.
We build up in our mind that it's a bigger ordeal, or I don't want anybody, I mentioned this on the episode with Shalon when she was talking about financial advising. I don't want anybody, seeing my house dirty. You know how when you hire a housekeeper, then all of a sudden you got to go clean the house for the housekeeper to come.
Yeah.
They didn't seen it all. They seen worse than what you got. There's no judgment. It's just trying to get you right for your future. So don't get caught up in all of those thoughts and the thousand things that you're coming up with of why you can't. You definitely can. And you want to click on that link, book a consultation so that you can get yourself in order. We're about to go into the second half of the year. If you have to make up 6 months, make up 6 months of, legwork instead of having a whole year's worth of legwork to make up when tax season comes around.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you, Raven, for coming on, for sharing with us. And, we may have to do this again closer to tax season. Well, before you get into the thick of tax season, because I know once that comes around, it's a little crazy. But I definitely appreciate you coming on and sharing with us, information both about accounting and tax season that can really help small business owners to understand the importance and to hopefully get themselves on track.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
All right, guys, I'm gonna sign off. Oh, before I do want to share, I do have my goal setting workshop that's coming up on the 22nd. I'll have the notes in the show notes, the link to sign up for that. So we are, about to enter that third quarter, second half of the year. It's time to reevaluate. It's time to check in, and it's time to, if you don't have your goals in order, get them in order. If you do have them, but you haven't been making progress, let's figure out what's going on and why, so we can finish strong. And, just tying it back to the topic, financial should be a part of those goals. That should be one of your goal areas. But I definitely want you to be there for that workshop where I'm going to be sharing my goal setting system that I have used time and time again for the major life events in my life that sometimes I feel like, using that system, I've made impossible things happen, but it's intentional action and strategy behind both setting the goals and completing them. So I will put that in the notes. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Your Workflow, or you can go to my website, coachdannyd.com. So it was great talking with you, Raven. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I hope you got some great tips to start working with ease. Want to stay connected? Follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram. For more information about building your luxury brand, register for my upcoming luxury brand workshop at CoachDannyD.com.